What is that? You go to New Orleans, you find a lot of culture. But is that American culture? It is actually, you go there because you see something that is a little bit different from America. But where is then the American culture? What is it that makes America really American? What is the American thing, the essence of America? It cannot be all those subcultures. There are the black people, there are the Hispanics. So the idea is not at all to criticize American culture, or for example, perhaps the lack of American culture. You go to the rednecks, you say there's no culture. Well, that doesn't matter. The fact that there are such pockets in this country, or lack of civilization, you would perhaps say. You would say, yeah, the rednecks, they are not civilized. That doesn't mean anything. It is just because the civilization is so strong that they can afford these pockets of non-civilization. So that is not the idea, to criticize anything here. This is why it's so interesting. We go here from Bo Yang, who goes completely towards culture, and he thinks because there is too much culture, there is no civilization. So here we would say now we concentrate only on civilization, which is kind of difficult in the case of America because you see culture everywhere. But Baudrillard is doing it because he is fascinated by this. He likes that. He sees only that. He doesn't want to go to the South. He doesn't want to see the rednecks. He doesn't want to see hip-hop culture. He goes to the desert. He likes this. And he thinks that there is something of the spirit of America. You see what that is. It's ideas, liberty, freedom, speed, a certain emptiness. That is civilization. That is not a culture. That is an abstract concept that you can take somewhere and you can implant it in another culture. And that has been done all the time. It is a description of American civilization. This is not American culture. This, let's call it desert America, it is more than just its concrete manifestations. You don't see it as something concrete, but it's a concept that permeates like an abstract structure American civilization. Politeness is civilization. I think you agree with that. Sincerity, soft-spokenness, not shouting all the time. Yeah, that is being civilized. You have that in America. So there is no lack of civilization. There might be a lack of culture if you compare it now to Europe or to something very old. You will say, well, lack of culture, but that is not really the point here. If we discuss it, I think we can't discuss it because we end up with some relativism. It's not an interesting subject. Discuss this. Is there culture in America? Is it a good culture? Is it bad? Is the European culture better? We will not do that. It leads nowhere. This is a completely different topic. Crystallize American civilization. What does it mean? What does America stand for as a concept? There are books by Americans on that too. By the way, if you go on the internet, you Google Baudrillard America, many people say bad things about him as if he would just criticize. But I hope I made it clear that it's not a matter of critique, it's just out of interest. It's such an interesting subject. But he really says in that book, but nobody seems to notice it, that he believes that American civilization is superior to a European civilization. The Americans are simply more civilized. And that is just a problem. So it is these middle-class suburbs that are a little empty, that are sprawling, repetitive. These landscapes are forgettable. An imitation of something, but you forget what it actually was that they wanted to imitate. Because it's so bad, it's there on its own. It's like virtual reality. Another important word, political correctness. That is the thing. Somebody said the only people that you can insult in America are straight white males. This overdone civilization that is the problem that Baudrillard wants to see, and that he finds so fascinating. This polished civilizational surface, and then you have culture, but that is something else. But as long as you see the surface, you don't expect any cultural presence behind it. You expect a cultural void behind it, and then you see culture somewhere else. Okay, that is another thing. Existing for itself, I thought a desert, maybe it's a coincidence, but I think a desert there's no desire. There's no desire for everything because everything is there. You have everything. In this desert, it's an accomplished civilization. It is a utopia, but the utopia not in the future, but is already there. It has been built because that was the purpose of going to the new world. Desire would be a desire for something that has not yet been reached. But here it is virtual. It is there. That is the other definition of the virtual. I could have said this at the beginning, but let's just come back to another explanation of the virtual. It can very well be explained through through rhetoric when they were defining the terms virtual, these things. So 1,000 years before the internet, the virtual is the thing that overcomes the potential and the actual. In real life, here, in your real life, something is potential. You might be a potential artist. That doesn't mean that you're an artist, but you have the potential of being an artist or a politician or something. But then you have to do something, you have to work, and then the potentiality will become something actual. Then you are an actual artist. In virtual reality, it's not like this. You just have it. It's just there. You are. It does not go from potential to actual. It's not necessary in virtual reality, in a computer game. So this is why there is not this tragic moment that we have in real life, for example, when you cannot make it actual. That is tragic. Or if something happens that was actually not very potential, but it happens. That is an accident. We call that an accident. Accident. It means it's a coincidence. It's the thing that normally it was not supposed to happen. It was the most unlikely thing, but still it happened. That's an accident. So that if somebody has an accident, then we say that it's tragic. If somebody has an accident, now yeah, we say it's tragic. If somebody who is 106 years old dies, we don't say that it's tragic, because he could not live forever. That was almost actual. It was so potential that he will die, and then it became actual. There's nothing tragic about it. Now, in virtual reality, you die and you get a new life, second life. It doesn't matter. There's nothing tragic there. So that is the idea of this utopia, which has not been normally, well, I think if you look at the whole literature, Marx and whatever, Fournier and whatever in Europe, utopia is the thing that we never have. We go there. We want to have it. What would we do if we have it? We would be bored. Now, Baudrillard thinks that there is something of a realized utopia in America. It is so perfect that you think that here the utopia has become real. So it is a sort of desert civilization of Puritanism, asceticism. Puritanism, yeah, well, that was the origin of American culture. Maybe it's not very erotic either, no? It's this desert civilization, just like the soy-paste vat. It's not very erotic either. This civilization that he wants to define in terms of a desert, of something virtual, this utopia, it enables a certain naivete. It enables you to not to see the tragic that normally is there when you are plugged into the media and you just live your life like this. and you play the computer games. Well, that is an American civilization, but just to make it stronger, to make it clearer, somebody who is playing computer games, well, he is naive. He doesn't know how tragic life actually can be. Um, so American civilization cannot be criticized. It is superior. It is perfect. But if it can be criticized, then only because it does not make this dialectical movement with regard to culture. This dialectics is impossible. So there's nothing bad or evil in it. It is not that what some people say, that American culture kills European culture. They are coming here with all the McDonald's, and before we had our local food, and now the kids are eating the hamburgers. They're killing our culture. Doesn't make sense. It's not true at all. McDonald's is not culture, it's civilization. It is meant as a civilization, like Disney, Walt Disney. If you look at the early texts by Walt Disney, it was meant to be a city where people should live. It was a city to live in. It was an ideal, a utopian city. He was working on the garbage collection system and all these things. And McDonald's is not an attempt to create an American culture, but to be civilized. This is very civilized food. It is clean. It is very well produced. It is perfect. But people see it as culture, but that is just a misunderstanding. So nobody is trying to kill culture by bringing over American culture. But it's just a civilization that spreads by multiplying itself. This is why all McDonald's look the same, or you go to the US and all shopping malls look the same, or the suburbs look the same.